everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome, and welcome to a very special presentation. Just wanted to let you guys know that now that my spring semester and finals are officially done, I now have a 4-week break until summer sessions begin. So of course, what do I intend to do? Spend some time with some very important people, take care of personal errands, maybe see a few movies in the middle of that, but more importantly, put a bunch of videos up on YouTube and really start working on the big projects for 2014. And this is one of them. It is a brand new Every Year of My Life video. But I'm not going to talk about a movie this time. Alongside television, another thing that we really don't see much on YouTube is a lot of music. There's of course plenty of music videos that you could probably see, but no one really talks about albums or reviews albums while I try to do that as best as I possibly can. Music has made such a big impact on my life as well as film and television, so I thought that I would do an album for every year of my life. A lot of you who have also done a movie for every year of my life, if you guys want to take up this task and try it for yourself, please do. I'd love to see what your thoughts are. So I'm going to split it up into 3, and I'm going to begin with the 1980s, starting with the year that I was born, which is 1981. Now, of course, I'm born in 1981, as is MTV 27 days before me. That's right. I guess you could say that I am one of the first in the MTV generation, although I consider myself a honorable member of Generation X. But at that time, music was very interesting because it was entering a whole new age. The realms of music in terms of rock and pop and the disco era dying and the punk rock era beginning, there were a lot of things that were changing and a lot of new innovative sounds that were developing. And I think that the 80s was one of the most diverse in all of music and also one of the biggest landmarks. And I think that when you see the 9 albums that I have chosen, you will truly see the diversity in the sound that music was in the 1980s. So 1981 is a very interesting one. I would say that the best album of 81 was Escape by Journey. Of course, Escape gave us one of the most legendary karaoke-worthy Journey songs, Don't Stop Believing, including other hits like Who's Crying Now. It also has one of the most innovative album covers that I've ever seen. It's so cool. Anyone who is a Journey fan, and I know there's a lot of closet Journey fans out there, I was one as well, but Escape by Journey is definitely one of their greatest and one of the most legendary in all of arena rock. 1982, I want to give it to probably the most well-known and most popular album of 1982 that shattered records across the globe, and that is Michael Jackson's Thriller. What can I possibly say about that album? God rest the king of pop. Songs like Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature. There are such legendary songs in this album, and it's one of the greatest albums in music history, and I would definitely say it was the album of 82 for me. 1983 saw the departure of one of the most innovative bands in the world of New Wave, which was still on the verge of developing in the late 70s, early 80s, and that is 1983's release of Synchronicity by The Police. It was definitely their best album, a great way to close out their career. Songs like Synchronicity 1 and 2, Walking in Your Footsteps, and of course the legendary single Every Breath You Take. It definitely propelled Sting to becoming one of the greatest singing stars in music history, and The Police are forever remembered thanks to that album. 1984, I am a proud owner, and I want to give it to one of the big 4 in heavy metal, and that of course is Ride the Lightning by Metallica. Alongside Megadeth, Slayer, and, of course, Anthrax, Metallica was one of the greatest metal bands, especially in the 1980s. Ride the Lightning has some of the most legendary classics of theirs, like Fade to Black and For Whom the Bell Tolls, Trapped Under Ice, you name it. Such a great album, an awesome album cover, even though Dave Mustaine did write a good portion of those songs before they threw him out of the band. This foursome, while it has gone through some major changes, many will say that Ride the Lightning is probably, maybe debatable, Metallica's best album. 1985, even though it was a mid-December release, I give it to Like a Virgin by Madonna. this was basically the album that propelled her. It has some of her most classic tracks, like Material Girl, Like a Virgin, of course, and because of that album, she made history, and she is now one of the strongest female artists in all of music, and I cannot praise her enough for her illustrious, sometimes controversial career. 1986 was a very interesting year. You had the blowing up of hair metal. You also had some major pop albums coming out, lots of teen idols really showing themselves, but probably one of the most interesting events that took place was the bringing of hip-hop to the pop charts and the mainstream. While Run DMC did do a great job with Walk This Way by Aerosmith and collaborating with Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, the first rap album to hit the Billboard charts at #1 was License to Ill by the Beastie Boys, and that gave us the Beastie Boys and a great career from them. Some of their best songs, my favorite Beastie Boys song was on that album, and that is Girls, and definitely one of the most landmarks. The Beastie Boys are one of the greatest in hip-hop, and they still are in everybody's hearts today, even though they are no longer performing with Adam Yauch. 1987, I mean, that was a tough one for me. There's so many things that came about in 1987, but I would probably think that the most influential album that came out that year was The Joshua Tree by U2. So many great songs on that album that I can't really single out because they were all so great, but U2 is now still one of the greatest and most popular bands in all of rock and roll, and they really made a name for themselves and really put themselves out there with The Joshua Tree. 1988 is a very interesting album. For me, I want to give it to the boys from Britain, Iron Maiden, one of my favorite bands of all time in the world of heavy metal, the seventh son of the seventh son. A lot of people love the albums like Number of the Beast and Killers and Power Slave, but I think that this is their best album. I mean, my favorite song of Iron Maiden's is on this album, Can I Play With Madness? You also have The Prophecy, The Clairvoyant, The Evil That Men Do. I mean, there are so many great songs on this album, and I think that Iron Maiden is one of the best heavy metal artists ever, and I'm so glad that they are still around and still making music. And 1989 is a very interesting one because it showed the beginning of a very interesting area of heavy metal, and that was the industrial movement, and I give it to Trent Reznor's Nine Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine. Probably one of the most interesting albums you will ever hear. He has become one of the most praiseworthy artists in heavy metal. He's the only and first heavy metal artist to actually have an Oscar, and if you've never listened to Nine Inch Nails, I highly suggest you listen to Pretty Hate Machine. It will blow your mind. It's something so innovative and so different, and you will definitely thank me for it if you enjoy it. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching part 1 of an album for every year of my life. I will be back in a couple of weeks when I give you part 2, when I go through probably one of my favorite times for music, the 1990s. Please feel free to try this for yourselves. I'd like to know if you're interested in doing so, and if you do, I'll look for your videos. And I am the Lawn Gnome. Actions speak louder than words.